talk this week in this country has been all about what happened in Baltimore, and I'm referring to Korryn Gaines. With everything that's been posted this week across the media board, I decided to have commentary on two main subjects in all of this. That is the standoff itself and the impact of social media in all of this. Now, before I begin, here's the Reuters video of the official police statement, and from here is where I begin.
They could clearly see a female that they believed to be Miss Gaines seated on the floor, a child nearby who immediately began to wield a shotgun around, bringing it up to ready position, pointing it directly at the officers there to serve the arrest warrants. The officers immediately retreated, took cover in the hallway of this structure. The male occupant of the home exited the home with a child. There were times when we thought this would come to a peaceful resolution, closure. There were other times that she was highly agitated. Gaines was being served with a failure to appear bench warrant issued by the court, stemming from charges from that March the 10th, 2016 traffic stop. She again brought the weapon up to the ready position, announced to one or more of the tactical team personnel, "If you don't leave, I'm going to kill you." At that point, a tactical officer discharged a round. We do not know if that round struck Mrs. Gaines. She in turn fired several rounds at us. Our personnel returned 3 rounds of fire, striking her and killing her. Gaines was posting video of the operation as it unfolded. Followers were encouraging her not to comply with negotiators' requests that she surrender peacefully.
I do not know whether those 3 officers who were on the warrant service team were aware of her anti-government views. The child, as we just mentioned, remains at Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital.
As I watched this, I was trying to figure out how anyone could say that this was racially motivated. I got a news flash for you people that are thinking that. It is not in any way, shape, or form. She had paper hanging on her, bottom line. Now, what I did not know is when I started to do research on this, it was written in the Baltimore Sun. Now, I want to thank YouTuber Monday Matt for bringing this story to my attention. I did not know that the police went as far as getting a key from the landlord. Now, I'm no fan of no-knock warrants or anything even close to that, and it went down that road. Also, it leads me to the question of what if she had shot that officer? That is a question that very few people are asking right now. If that happened, it would be a very different discussion if that happened first. With that being said, in this video from Young Black America, this topic was discussed. Now, I may not agree with everything they said, but they bring up a very good point in this next clip.
And we may not know all the facts of the case or what have you, but the little that we do know, we can touch on it for a bit. Yeah. But what was the name of the young lady? Korryn Gaines? Korryn Gaines. So now I'm sure that some of you all may have heard about this in the news the past couple of days. A young lady, a young black African-American woman in Baltimore, which is like literally, you know, maybe less than an hour north of where we are in the DC area, was shot, killed by police officers. But there's some twists and turns in this particular case, and y'all can read up on it, so we won't go into all the twists and turns, but maybe the answers that we give to this question will kind of give some of the twists and turns to it. I want to get your opinions, us being black men, right? But what are your opinions as far as how that whole situation went down? Do we feel, is there a sense that this was something that was justified? Do we not know enough about the case to make a judgment call at this point? Like, or maybe I'll just make it general. What are your thoughts so far on this case? or this incident, this event?
Yeah, just so far. I mean, I just learned about it from you guys a couple minutes ago, and so just reading a little bit about it, it seemed like they did have a warrant, like to go into the residence, and I don't know if they were looking for her or her boyfriend or whatever, but I mean, it's just
that's a good question. The question that I have, because I think I was talking about this with Nikki, is there a difference between a search warrant and a warrant for arrest, right? Because which warrant did they have? Because from what I heard, I think Nikki was telling me last night that it might have been an arrest warrant that they had, but not necessarily a search warrant. So if they do have an arrest warrant, are they allowed to just go in and enter into that house and search it? You know, I don't know if there's we're not lawyers.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to find a lawyer to join this show with us, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead, based on what you understand so far.
Yeah.
Just continue sharing your.
I mean, it's just the reality is that for me, it's just always sad to see that it has to end up in somebody dying. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing for me that it just disturbs me and you know, upsets me. You know, and the thing is that, you know, we all heard that she was, you know, loading a shotgun and stuff like that, and she had, I don't know if she had it pointed to them or whatever, but you're never going to get the benefit of the doubt as an African American or as a Black American, and that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? We see situations where, you know, in white situations, white America, you know, they get more of the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? There's less likely to end up with them dying, and for me, that's really the situation. Even though, you know, we don't know all the details or whatever, but for me, it seems like too often it ends up where our people are dying in those interactions, and you know, I just don't know if that has to be the case. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the facts might be.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. I see, again, without knowing the details of the case, I see it being another loss of life, and from the articles I've read and conversations I've had, it being disproportionately the case that you know, brown and black people are losing their lives as a result of these situations at a higher rate. In any circumstance, you know, I feel like the proper measures should be taken to de-escalate circumstances like this, right? But again, it's the disproportion that really, you know, call make my point in 2 sentences.
I meant to hit it when we started the new topic. But go ahead.
Keep it brief, man.
Yeah. So I mean, those that disproportion is what causes a lot of people unrest in their spirit, which leads to the speaking out, which leads to statements like Black Lives Matter, not, you know, separate from everybody else's or over anybody else's, but, you know, just to again affirm that this is an issue in, you know, our community, as a Black community and as a whole, that we need to address very specifically. So,
I think my views on this case, I don't even know if it's a case per se yet, but we'll put it this way. Here's an instance where I think you can see how nobody is trying to be unreasonable when they say things like Black Lives Matter or what have you, right? From what I understand, and if this happens to be the case, then we understand when certain actions are taken. I'm not even saying that it had to escalate to this point, but I don't think any of us here would say that there are not scenarios where police have to do what they have to do, right? So from what I understand, she had a young child with her. Allegedly, they shot at her when the child was with her, which I think is kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't know, I haven't been through police training or what have you. So, but I think that you're not supposed to really shoot at a person, especially if they have a child with them or a potential other person, innocent victim around them, right? Basically, is you might consider that extra person a hostage, right? So, allegedly, she does have a shotgun. I've seen police officers back off in situations, you know, in dealing with other people before. And say, even if the person has been like, yo, all right, cool, let's chill, let's try to calm the situation down. That's the whole reason why you have negotiators sometimes. Somebody that comes in to try to calm a situation down so it doesn't have to escalate to a certain height, right? But you have the situation now where the police shot at her, right? But I don't, as far, again, I'm not saying that we know all the details of the case. I'm just going based off of what I know, and I haven't read in detail what the case is, but from what it looks like, you know, she had a shotgun. She decided to point her shotgun at the police or what have you, right? And in a situation like that, I'm not saying that the cops were right, but I'm also not saying that she's right either, if that makes sense, right? Especially if you know kind of what the state of how things have been going down. One, you know that you have a child with you also too, right? And you just know you're pointing a gun at somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect good things to come out of that situation, right? And from what I understand, it doesn't seem like she was provoked at that level by the police as yet. You know what I'm saying? But she just kind of opened up the door with the shotgun out at them. So I'm not saying that the cops shouldn't have, because they're the trained professionals, have been a bit more patient with the situation. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that I don't think that we need to open up the doors with shotguns pointed out at the police. You see what I'm saying? I just don't see how that's going to help for a healthy situation to unravel.
Yeah, I mean, taking it even out of this particular context, I do think what you were talking about in terms of the police, the training that they receive, and, you know, I don't know, we can talk to a police officer about this, but, you know, for me, I feel like they really need to be trained more in terms of how to de-escalate situations, like you said, you know.
Watching this, it makes me think that they wanted to learn more, but did not want to completely jump the gun on this topic. They did, however, speak briefly about the second topic that I'm about to talk about, and that is the role of social media in all of this. Now, I saw the video of the traffic stop, which facilitated off of this, and she should have just gone to court. With that being said, Facebook did the right thing to have her cut her live stream off. From what my understanding is, people were telling her basically not to surrender. Now, I'm going to say this and say this one time. If, and I mean if, there was people telling her to do that, they need to be charged with a crime, period. The end. Common sense tells you not to do that, and it's this type of internet trolling is what I've been speaking about for a very long time. And that is my biggest fear. People getting killed. Think about what I just said for a moment. It was not the main cause, but if true, was a major factor in this, and we all know it. Then you have places like the Young Turks basically creating a different narrative in all of this, knowing damn well that people will not research and take what you and other sites as fact, but that is a completely different commentary for another day. I'm going to close out this segment with this. This should have never happened. Gaines should have just gone to court. We all know that. But now she is dead. The child that she was using as a human shield is shot. Baltimore police, as much as has been hammered in the past year, gets another body blow, right or wrong. This should never happen. I am back in the second segment, and we're talking science. Now, I know there are people out there that do not like stem cell research, but there are some good things that come from it. As an example, in Singapore, scientists developed a midbrain from stem cells. Now, in this video, it is explained what they're looking to do.
The development of the midbrain mini organoid provides an exciting opportunity for us to better understand the pathophysiology of diseases that affect the midbrain. for example, in Parkinson's disease. And also, it also provides a platform for us to screen for new therapeutic compounds or drugs to treat patients with Parkinson's disease. Yeah, we have shown that these subsets of neurons are organized in certain ways, even though it's in a very preliminary manner. And also, we have shown that these neurons do transmit, and they are connected to one another electrophysiologically. And also that we have shown that these subset of neurons, certain subset of neurons contain these pigments which are specific to certain groups of neurons within the midbrain. So I think this gives us the confidence that we have created at least at this moment in time a mini midbrain organoid that could provide us with a better model for studying diseases.
That's fine, don't worry.
The rest is not so recognizable because we all recognize this is a spinal cord that comes down.
Right.
Right, and this is the thalamus. Sorry, this is a caudate nuclei. We consider a midbrain part of this. In fact, something like this. Here. Correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. And also this black pigment is absent in animals. That's why we're so excited.
Okay. I think this one is better. This one.
But as in from stem cell into this tissue, it
5
takes
5 months.
5 months. Oh, but just now you mentioned 1 month.
They become bigger. And if you can come over here, you can see for yourself I think we have done many experiments. First, we show that they are live neurons. They have they have very similar properties as the real neurons in the human brains. And also equally important is that we see structure within the mini brain itself. We see 3 different layers. We see a layer of progenitor cells. We see a layer of neurons. And these are very exciting discovery that we have made. In Parkinson's disease patient, there is a dramatic loss of dopaminergic neurons and neuromelanin in the brains of these patients. So now we can start to recreate the same disease condition in vitro and to do more research to understand how can we reverse the loss of dopaminergic neurons, the loss of neuromelanin, and these are possibilities that's now open to us with all this new invention.
Now I think that they will be looking just more than Parkinson's disease. I can promise you that. More of what? No idea at this time, and I would be lying to you if I did. However, I will say prepare because in the next 10 to 15 years, we will start to see major things happen as far as health in that particular segment. And finally this week, there is some good news in the animal world. There were 2 armor leopard cubs born at the Ty-Cross Zoo. Now, I did not know this, but there is an estimate that there are 70 left in the wild and around 200 in zoos around the world. So baby steps are being done to get this number up. And that is a very good thing right now. That is it for this week's show. Now, always be careful and remember, fear the roo, but I will end this show with the Cubs' birth. So enjoy.